Welcome to the Thoughtful Leader podcast. My name is Ben Brearley. I'm a leadership coach and the founder of Thoughtful Leader. The Thoughtful Leader podcast is all about short, sharp leadership advice because thoughtful leadership is good leadership. Welcome to episode 239 of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about a simple model to help promote change in your team. So this isn't a change management model as such. It's more of a model to help people make personal change or behaviour change, and sometimes I'll use it in coaching. It's very simple. It's called the AAA model. So let's hear more about it right now. Now, continuous improvement is a popular trend in many organisations, and for good reason. The challenge for many leaders, however, is to encourage change and help their people get on board with it. But it's not only team improvement that's important here, it's also personal improvement for each team member. After all, helping your people develop and grow is part of good leadership. It's not always easy though, and you might find your people getting stuck, being unable or unwilling to change, even when alerted to a problem or opportunity. So in this episode, I'm going to take a look at a simple coaching model that can help you unlock the potential of your people. So helping your people to improve can be important for many reasons. You might want to encourage change to help your people take on more responsibility or be more proactive, or perhaps you need them to learn new skills to help the team work more effectively. But we might also look to encourage changes in behaviour, maybe to create a better team dynamic, to reduce conflict, or to improve trust in the team. Like it or not, leaders are in the business of making change. So let's look at a simple model which may help you to understand more about why your people may be getting stuck. And I can't quite remember when I came across this model, but it was at some point early in my coaching career, and I like it for its simplicity, and we can use it in many different contexts, and I hope you find it useful too. So let's get into it. This is called the AAA model, and the AAA stands for Awareness, Acceptance, and Action. So what we're trying to do here is create awareness to encourage change. And the first step in this model is awareness. Awareness is what it sounds like, becoming aware of something. Now, in many ways, I see awareness as the easy part. There are lots of ways that we can promote or gain awareness. So you might provide your team member with feedback about their performance, and all of a sudden they are aware of your expectations and your opinion about how they have performed. A team member may make a big mistake at work. All of a sudden, they are painfully aware of a shortcoming, a limitation, or perhaps just an inattention to detail that has caused the mistake. A team member might also meet someone who is doing a job they've never heard of, which seems really cool. Their awareness has been raised about a potential opportunity for change to a better career path. Or a person can experience strong emotions about a situation which raises awareness too. A colleague received a pay rise and they didn't, or they missed out on a job they applied for because the other candidates were better in some way. So as you can see, awareness is all about bringing attention to an issue, opportunity, or simply feelings about a situation. Now this can happen naturally or as a result of communicating to intentionally raise that awareness. And there's a related article that might be useful to you about 10 simple and effective tips for giving feedback. You can see that on the show notes page, which for this episode will be thoughtfulleader.com/239. So the next step in this process is acceptance, and I believe this is the most valuable and challenging part of this process. Now, awareness is needed to bring the problem or opportunity to the person's attention, but if there is no acceptance, nothing will happen after that. Acceptance can come in a few different forms. So firstly, acceptance might mean that a person acknowledges that they have some control over the situation and have the ability to make a change. Acceptance might also mean that a person starts to believe that an issue or opportunity is real and true. And lastly, acceptance might mean that the person comes to believe that the issue or opportunity is worth doing something about. And you might find people struggle with acceptance if they have what's called a victim leadership mindset, which I discuss in episode 113 of this podcast. So you can check that out on the show notes page as well. So why do people struggle with this acceptance step? Well, let's flip it around. We've seen some of the forms that acceptance can take, but what stops people from accepting? There's a bunch of different reasons, and here's some of them. A person may feel as if they can't do anything to change a situation that is out of their control, or someone may not believe that an issue presented is from a credible source. For example, if you provide someone with feedback, they may dismiss it because they don't trust you. In this case, the feedback is seen as not real or worth considering. People may also fail to make the link between an issue and a potential action which could improve it. It's not my problem, or that's not because of anything I did, for example. Sometimes people may also fail to realize the seriousness of the problem. It's not a big deal, or it'll sort itself out. It may also be that the person doesn't feel they have the skills, ability, or motivation to do anything about a problem. Or perhaps the person knows that making a change would require a big effort or create another challenge, which they're just not ready to tackle. So that's a lot of reasons why we might not accept our situation or that we can do anything about it. So this is why I consider this to be the most challenging step of the process. Consider the person who is unhealthy, overweight, and then has a heart attack. They almost die, and suddenly they change their habits, starting to exercise and eat well. How many times have you heard a story like that? It's a powerful example of acceptance leading to action. But obviously, we don't always want to have a heart attack before we take that action that we want to take. And there's a related article that I'd recommend you check out. Are people not doing what you want? Ask this leadership question. That's a good one to unpack challenges in your team as well. So let's run through a personal example here about my own knee injury and the AAA process. So over the years, I've played a lot of sport, mostly indoor soccer and basketball, and a few years back, I ruptured my anterior cruciate ligament, or ACL, which is obviously a key stabilizer of the knee. Now, I didn't actually know it was ruptured at first, as it had happened gradually over a few years. As a result, my knee would pop out occasionally, sending me crashing to the floor while playing sport. But it wasn't so often that I really worried about it all the time. So once the injury was correctly diagnosed, I went to see a surgeon who booked me in for surgery. But before I had the surgery, someone in my team at work told me about a physiotherapist who specialized in non-surgical rehabilitation for these types of injuries. Now, I was interested because I wanted to avoid surgery if I could, and my awareness had been raised of a potential opportunity for a different treatment option. So that's the first step, the awareness. So then I had to get to acceptance. Now, this was a bit of a daunting process. What do you mean you can still walk around and play sport with a ruptured ACL? I asked the physiotherapist. It seemed a bit far-fetched, so I was a little way off acceptance at that point. Then I met the physio who walked me through the process and how it might work. Lots of rehab, strengthening exercises, balance work, jumping on one leg, getting the conditioning of the leg right. But still, I was a bit skeptical. Then the physio showed me examples of people who had done it before, videos and interviews with snowboarders, surfers, soccer players, all people who were still competing professionally with a broken or ruptured ACL. Now, I wasn't a professional and I didn't need my knee to be at a professional level anyway, so this gave me a bit of hope. Then he showed me some research studies with evidence that showed the results of non-surgical versus surgical approaches, proving that in many cases it worked just as well, if not better than surgery. And there's a disclaimer here I'll make. This sort of rehabilitation is not suitable for every case, and you need to seek professional health advice for your situation. So importantly, the physio was also extremely encouraging, positive and supportive, and he showed belief in me that I could do it. So now about 3 or 4 years later, at the age of 43, I still play in basketball competitions twice a week with no issues with my knee, and my ruptured ACL has never healed. Of course, I need to maintain my strengthening exercises each week to make sure the knee remains stable, but it works. So after acceptance, action happens, or action is possible, I should say. Without awareness, nothing happens. And once you reach acceptance, change is possible. With support, action is inevitable. Now, if you're trying to encourage change in your team, consider this model and what it means for your people. Are they aware of the problem or opportunity? How can you help them to gain acceptance that they can change and the problem is worth solving? And how can you support them to take action to make it happen? Now, I'd be interested in your examples. Have you noticed this sort of AAA model in action in your team? How do you help your team navigate the process to encourage them to make a change in behavior or the way they act? How do you encourage your team to change behavior or change their attitude towards something? Let me and all the other Thoughtful Leaders know in the comments on the show notes page. That'll be thoughtfulleader.com/239. And while you're at it, I would love it if you could leave a positive review on your podcast app of choice. If you like the podcast, it really helps me get the word out and encourage more people to learn more about thoughtful leadership and hopefully increase the quality of leadership around the world. Okay, thank you for listening once again. Keep up the thoughtful leadership, and I'll be back next week.